At the onset of the rainy season, there were predictions of early cessation of rainfall in some states of the Federation by NIMET. The recent alert, however, shows that there will be excessive rainfall in the next coming weeks in 17 states, including Sokoto State. How prepared is Sokoto State, and what is being done to mitigate the possible effect of the coming rains? This and more on Panorama, coming to you from Sokoto Network Center. I am Sadia Omaldiki. The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment towards reducing the effects of both man-made and natural disasters, as well as other misfortunes on Nigerians, saying, however, that succor and livelihood support will be given to those in need for as long as it takes to enable them live a life of dignity and comfort. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this at this year's World Humanitarian Day celebration in Maiduguri, expressed formal appreciation to aid workers for their tireless effort at saving lives, preserving human dignity, and alleviating suffering. State House correspondent Adam Sambu has details.
Humanitarian Day celebration themed Service to Humanity. It Takes a Village is set aside to honor and appreciate humanitarian workers for continuing, despite all odds, to deliver life-saving support and protection to people most in need. Records show that since 2016, 35 of them lost their lives, 22 wounded, and 28 abducted by criminal gangs.
There's no way the good people and government of Borno State will not honor the memories of those who have died and appreciate the contributions of those that are still with us, given the enormity of the challenge that we have faced in our current district and the incredible dedication of the humanitarian community in helping us.
One of the reasons we have chosen the Northeast, in particular Borno State, as the venue for this year's event is to highlight tremendous improvement in the humanitarian relation in this region, to provide a human face to plight of IDPs and to inspire the change needed.
President Muhammadu Buhari joined the world leaders to pay tribute to humanitarian workers from all walks of life and nationalities that are advocating for and delivering life-saving aid to the most vulnerable of the nation's citizens and those affected by man-made or natural disasters.
We stand and shall continue to stand in solidarity with humanitarian aid workers and recognize their tremendous service and sacrifice. Their selfless commitment and actions stand as an example to us all.
The people of the Northeast, the president said, have suffered disproportionately as a result of insurgency, but was quick to note that a stabilization and development master plan containing programs and schemes to facilitate the physical and socio-economic development of the region has been finalized and ready for validation.
Let me use this medium to invite all relevant agencies to continue to provide support to the government's drive to stabilize the IDPs, care for victims of insurgency, as well as commitment to the ongoing processes concerning Boko Haram ISWAP members who are willing to surrender. As a government, we will continue to support those most in need,
acknowledging the threat that unexploded ordnances can pose to post-conflict returnees, as witnessed in the latest IED incident in Bama. President Buhari said specific programs and projects will be put in place towards responding to these emerging challenges of explosive ordnance, as well as the increasing number of orphans and widows. He used the opportunity to once again appreciate the armed forces and other security services for their professionalism and tactical penetration to the hideout of the criminal elements, leading to appreciable improvement of the security situation in the Northeast.
I therefore implore you not to relent in your efforts. Continue to take the fight to their hideouts and ensure they are completely eliminated. I also implore you to ensure adequate security for farmers in their farming activities.
During the event, exemplary humanitarian workers were recognized, while a 500-unit housing estate for the IDBs constructed by the federal and Borno state governments were inaugurated virtually by the president, who also unveiled a food basket and inspected an exhibition of skills acquisition products. From Maiduguri, Borno State, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development Sadia Umar Farouk has flagged off disbursement of cash grant for vulnerable groups targeting over 7,000 beneficiaries in Borno State. The minister also flagged off 5 other national social investment programs in Borno, all designed to address poverty and uplift standard of living of the citizens. Namuna Garba reports.
Us, they reduce the poverty. This government considers that a person with disability can also be an independent with such a support.
These are some beneficiaries of the various programs. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, disclosed that President Muhammadu Buhari directed that 70% of the beneficiaries must be women and 30% youth, while at least 15% of the total number must be allocated to citizens with special needs, including persons with disabilities and senior citizens. Similarly, the Minister Sadia Umar Farouk has flagged off digitized conditional cash transfer payment system for all households to be receiving monthly stipends of 5,000 naira for the period of 2 years, with another 168 youths issued certificate starter packs as well as 10,000 naira monthly stipends for the special and skills training category.
This is one of the highest plots in the country because we acknowledge the impact of insurgency and the large volume of IDPs in the state.
By at least training them and giving them startup package, it's up to them now to take their destiny in their hands and make sure that they succeed.
Onboarding of Stream 2 of independent local youth monitors, she added, are to receive 30,000 monthly stipends for a year to closely monitor and report implementation and performance of NTA projects in Borno. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Then Muhammadu Buhari says keeping the peace is now a matter of priority to his administration as normalcy gradually returns to Borno and all areas affected by terrorism and insurgency. Speaking at the palace of the Shehu of Borno, the president also promised to make every day count in the provision of public good to all those in need during the last lap of his tenure. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports.
This is President Muhammadu Buhari's third visit to Borno State in the last 14 months in demonstration of his genuine efforts at restoring permanent peace in the state for sustainable development. The intermittent downpour notwithstanding, the people of the state, young and old, line up the major streets of Maiduguri to show appreciation as the president and his entourage headed to the Shehu's palace. The Shehu of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbai El Kanami, who on behalf of the people thanked the president for walking the talk in the state's restoration, rehabilitation and reconstruction drive, made a case for the return of oil exploration activities in the state as well as the revitalization of the Lake Chad Basin Authority.
The Chad Basin Development Authority, when fully operational, will no doubt complement your administration's efforts towards enhancing the nation's drive for food security and also serve as an avenue to revive and sustain those so far resettled.
I am pleased to inform this gathering that His Excellency President Buhari last week has approved the sum of 15 billion naira in favor of the Presidential Committee on Repatriation and Resettlement, with the view to resettling our refugees that are living in the Republic of Chad, Nigeria and Cameroon. And this is a clear testimony of its administration's desire to shift its focus from shorter-term humanitarian support to medium and longer-term sustainable and durable solutions.
Responding, President Muhammadu Buhari appreciated the people of Borno for recognizing his administration's efforts at the restoration of normalcy in the state, promising that nothing will be left to chance towards keeping the peace for sustainable socio-economic development.
Relative to time and resources, certainly this administration has paid the attention to this part of Nigeria because they deserve it. Firstly, to establish peace, and of course to keep helping the people. As you all know, this administration closed the border so that we can encourage Nigerians to know what they eat and eat what they grow. That helped us with the problem in oil production and its politics. If we haven't taken that measures, things would have been very bad because the basic thing is to be in a position to feed ourselves. I assure you I'll continue to do my best for all the country.
The president had earlier inaugurated 24 apartments quarters constructed by the Zulum administration for primary school teachers in line with its 10-pack agenda aimed at transforming the education sector in the state. The project, Governor Zulum believes, will not only create a conducive and enabling environment, but also desired motivation for teachers to put in their best. President Buhari has since returned to Abuja. Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
The administration has expended more than 6 trillion naira in capital and recurrent expenditure in the education sector in the last 7 years. Minister of Education Adamu says this is in addition to the interventions from Tertiary Education Trust Fund and the Universal Basic Education Commission, amounting to over 3 trillion in capital investment. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi reports.
Commenting the federal government for its commitments to the sector, Minister of Education Adamu says kudos must also be given to states and the private sector for the huge investment into the nation's educational system.
We will continue to improve on the implementation of the strategic plan all through 2023 for the overall development of education in Nigeria. We will continue to create the necessary enabling environment to attract more private sector investment in education. By the grace of God, we are going to hand over a better education sector than what we inherited.
The minister says the last 7 years have been eventful with the implementation of the sector's blueprint, and these include massive infrastructural development.
This administration has ensured that all states of the federation now have a federal university and a federal polytechnic. May I inform you that the Commission has already started putting together a working template to regulate the senior secondary education in the country. And we are doing this in consultation with states. States of all senior secondary schools has revealed that we now have 25,782 senior secondary schools with approximately 3.2 million learners at that level.
Describing strikes as huge distractions, the minister says a lot can be achieved without embarking on strikes.
Just recently, we inaugurated a committee to negotiate the 2009 agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Universities and other related unions in the tertiary institutions. We are doing everything humanly possible to conclude on the negotiations. It is our hope that the outcome of these negotiations will bring lasting industrial peace to our campuses.
Of Education Minister Adamu spoke at the weekly executive briefing of press at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, organized by the Presidential Communications Team. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
On Panorama, please stay with us.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
There. As heavy downpour intensifies, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) has alerted that states on high-risk areas are expected to experience varying degrees of flooding. Sokoto State is one of the states likely to experience flood due to the excessive rainfall. In this report, Dalhatu Abdullahi Safi Al-Mugure examines the efforts by government to mitigate the adverse effects of flood.
Sokoto has an average annual rainfall of 629 millimeter and it lasts from June to October. Prediction by Nigerian Meteorological Agency indicates that excessive rainfall in Sokoto State is likely to cause flooding.
Definitely, if there is an overflow or oversaturation of rainwater for the soils, and ultimately the soils cannot consume no more water, then definitely those places will be flooded.
Even before the prediction by NIMET, some local governments like Urno Rapa and Gorenyo, as well as some areas in Sokoto metropolis, have experienced flood. However, state and federal governments, as well as World Bank, have successfully completed the construction of 18.6 kilometer Mabera drainages toward curtailing annual flood in the area. With the prediction that flood will hit Sokoto, Commissioner Ministry for Environment Aliyu Balarabe Dandimma has said the 3 meteorological stations established in 3 local governments that include Wamako, Raba and Sabon Birni will assist greatly in taking measures before flood occurs. Experts emphasize that communal efforts should be intensified and environmental laws enforced.
Drainages should be evacuated so that it will give free flow of flooded water anywhere else. Otherwise, another problem still.
The State Commissioner Ministry of Environment Aliyu Balarabe Dandimma has said drainages will be desilted and the populace will be sensitized on dangers of living in riverine areas and dumping of refuse along waterways. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And now to our discussion segment. With me in the studio is Kasim Muhammad Yabo, Managing Director, Sokoto State Environment Protection Agency, to discuss NIMET alert on excessive rainfall and how prepared is the state. Sir, you're welcome to our studios.
Thank you for having me.
So, sir, the recent alert by NIMET shows that there will be excessive rainfall in the next weeks for 17 states, including Sokoto State. How prepared is the state now?
Well, as you have rightly said, the 2 sister agencies of the federal government, NIMET and Nigeria Hydrological Services, had predicted this flood. We received that information and we have a Sokoto State Steering Committee that handles the menace of flood. That committee has sat and digested the forecast. As you are aware, flood comes with a lot of ramifications and it cut across ministries, departments and agencies. So the stakeholders in those ministries are fully prepared. For instance, we have the Ministry of Health. There could be outbreak of disease due to flood. They are fully prepared and have taken their stringent measures. We also have the SEMA, that is Sokoto State Emergency Management Agency, who have also prepared to take action to provide succor in those that could be affected. In the Ministry of Environment, we have also taken that measure, and we extended this information to those that could be affected, particularly those living in riverine areas, in the rural areas. We have informed them of the forecast and we have advised them to get prepared in case the menace struck. They could be relocated to other areas. And in the urban areas also we have taken action to address the issue of drainages so that we have free flow of water within the urban areas.
Even before this alert, there had been flood in some local government areas. So what is the effect of the flood on those people?
Well, as expected, the flood is from river channels down to farmlands and some houses, some shops in those areas. We have already gotten information on those areas that are affected as at now. Local government areas like Silame, Gorenyo, Raba, and Sabon Birni, and it tallies exactly with the prediction. That was why we sensitize these people to take proactive measures when these menace strike. So all those stakeholders I mentioned, the Ministry's Department and agencies are in action. Every stakeholder is playing its right role to see that this menace is mitigated.
Okay, so possible flood could affect farming activities. What is being done in that regard?
Well, the Ministry of Agriculture is, of course, one of the major stakeholders, and they have also fully prepared to provide succor to the affected farms. You know, in rural areas, the rains normally flood in farmlands, which will affect their agricultural crops. So initially, they were given this information, and then they were given right seeds to plant, and they are also encouraged to plant tree species. I mean, in those areas that could be flooded. If they have tree species in those areas, particularly the Fadama areas, at least they will get something out of it. And they were initially advised to plant early maturing crops so that they could harvest those crops before the menace struck out. And then again, they have this advantage of irrigation after the rainy season. They will also be provided with inputs so that they will carry out their irrigation activities at the end of the rainy season, so that it will complement the loss.
Okay.
Flood.
So do the state have any ICT facility to help in tackling these issues?
Yeah, you see, the information we have gotten from the two sister agencies is very, very important to us. But we went further to establish substations, sub-meteorological stations, 3 in the state, 1 each in the central zones of the state. This will give us an update information so that we will prepare in advance, and we will continue to compare the predicted information with the information we'll be getting from those stations. And we have staff stationed there around the clock, liaising with the communities, the immediate communities, so that we'll be getting this information as and when due, and that will enable us and the other sister ministries, department, agencies to take action.
Before I let you go briefly, how enlightened are the people about this?
Well, they are very enlightened, because immediately we got that information, we cover all the 23 states of Sokoto State, and we have reached out to all these people that this is what they should do. The only problem we are getting normally is for people, particularly those that could be relocated. A number of them are resisting this relocation, but they are fully aware, and most of them have complied with the information.
Thank you very much for coming, sir.
You're welcome.
That is our discussion segment, and now for sports, we join Sport Desk for Sport Update.
The Nigerian Football Federation has assured Nigerians that the forthcoming elective Congress in Benin City, Edo State, come September 30th, will be guided by FIFA statutes.